Good morning. So here we are, the woman who won Euromillions. Here we go. This story follows Edith Aveling, a widowed domestic worker and a mother of three, whose life is transformed after winning a whopping £137 million on the Euromillions jackpot. You can't imagine it, can you? It's difficult to imagine that amount of money. Despite her sudden wealth, Edith struggles with the psychological burden of her fortune, initially hiding it from her family and continuing her simple cleaning job from the wealthy Brimble family. The story explores the tension between her working class identity and her new status, particularly as her obsessive-compulsive disorder and stress-induced eczema manifests itself during the transition. The subplots involve her daughter Sarah's secret romance with the employer's son, Rupert, and her daughter's Hermione's recovery from a serious accident. Ultimately, the story depicts Edith navigating the complexities of loyalty, eventually reconciling her past with an uncertain, affluent future. Well, that's just a very short synopsis, but the AI voices do it justice. Just got to have a listen. I've got 4 novels coming up within the next 8 days, all different. And after that, it's back to another saga about World War II. As usual, if you would like to subscribe and ring that bell, that would be fabulous. And if you comment, as usual, I will read and reply to everyone. Have a great day. And eat your vegetables. See you soon.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are unpacking a story that, well, if I pitched it to a Hollywood studio, they would probably tell me it's too on the nose.
Oh, absolutely. They'd laugh you out of the room.
Right. It sounds exactly like fiction, but it is very much grounded in the gritty reality of human psychology and the rigid architecture of class dynamics.
And the absolute paralyzing terror of massive change.
Yes, exactly, that terror. We are looking at a case study today from our source material that completely flips the script on what you and I think winning actually looks like.
It really does, because usually the cultural narrative around lottery winners is it's very specific.
The Beverly Hillbillies trope.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You get the money, you quit the job, you buy the Lamborghini, and you either live happily ever after on a mega yacht, or you crash and burn in a blaze of glory.
Right. It's one or the other.
But today we are looking at a third, much stranger option. We are looking at the refusal to change.
We are looking at the story of Edith Aveling. And just to set the table for you listening right now, let's just establish the baseline here.
The before picture.
Right. Edith is a 55-year-old widow. She lives in Battersea in London. And she works as a domestic cleaner.
Which is grueling physical work.
It is. That means she is on her hands and knees scrubbing floors, dusting skirting boards, cleaning toilets. And in early 2020, she wins a staggering £137 million on the Euromillions lottery.
And just to pause on that number for a second, because our brains are, they're not really designed to comprehend 9 figures.
No, we really can't.
£137 million isn't just rich. It isn't I fly business class rich. It is nation state rich.
Generational wealth.
Exactly. It puts her instantly into the stratosphere of ultra high net worth individuals. She is suddenly wealthier than many of the celebrities she reads about in the magazines she dusts.
It is buy your own island money. It's never look at a price tag again money. But here is the hook. This is the thing that makes this a deep dive into our sources today, and not just a quick news snippet.
She doesn't quit.
Edith Aveling does not quit. She wins $137 million, and she refuses to hand in her notice.
That's wild.
She continues to wake up at dawn, put on her tabard, and go to work to clean the house of a man who is worth a fraction of what she is now worth.
And that is the central mystery we are going to solve today. Why?
Why indeed?
Why would you scrub a toilet when you could buy the street the toilet is on?
We have a stack of sources here detailing Edith's life, her work at Eaton Square, and the chaotic weeks following her win in early 2020.
And our mission today is to unpack the psychology of what experts call sudden wealth syndrome.
We'll also look at the biting irony of the British class system.
And the physical toll of keeping a secret of this magnitude.
So let's start with the protagonist herself. We need to understand who Edith Aveling was before the money dropped.
Because she is not a blank slate.
Not at all. She's a very specific, very complex character.
She is. And she is not your typical gambler. In fact, the sources highlight that she's actually quite cynical about the lottery.
Yeah, she calls it a tax on the desperate.
A tax on the desperate. She's a grounded woman, a mother of 3 adult or near-adult children living in Battersea. But she has this fascinating internal duality.
On the outside, she's a cleaner.
But on the inside, she is a prolific amateur novelist.
I loved this detail in the source material. She hasn't just written one book. She's written 65 manuscripts.
65, all unpublished.
That is just an unbelievable amount of writing.
It speaks to a tremendous amount of discipline, but also a deep need for escapism. She's used to living in her head.
Right.
She visualizes scenes while she's on the bus or while she's vacuuming. It's a coping mechanism for her.
But there is another layer to her internal life that really sets up this whole saga. She had this lingering delusion, or perhaps we'd call it a priming event.
A premonition, really.
Yeah, a premonition that the year 2020 was going to be significant.
And this goes all the way back to her childhood, doesn't it?
It does. We have to go back to the summer of 1976. For our UK listeners, you'll know this as the famous drought summer.
It was incredibly hot.
Very hot. Edith is 11 years old. She's at a playground. Her hands are sweaty from the heat, and she slips from the monkey bars.
She falls, hits her head hard, and suffers a severe concussion.
And in that dazed, concussed state, lying in the park keeper's hut, she sees something.
Right. She's drifting in and out of consciousness, and she has this visualization of the numbers 2020 dancing around her like ballroom dancers.
Which is so specific.
It is. Now, a neurologist would tell you this is just misfiring neurons, right? A visual disturbance caused by head trauma.
But for Edith, this became a prophecy.
Exactly. For 44 years, she held on to this belief that 2020 would be the year everything changed.
That is classic magical thinking. It's a psychological term where we believe that our internal thoughts or unrelated events have a causal link to the external world.
She didn't know if it meant she would die or if something wonderful would happen, but she woke up on January 1st, 2020 in a state of high alert.
She's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
She was primed for it. But we also have to look at the trauma she was carrying because her life leading up to 2020 wasn't a fairy tale.
Far from it. Her husband Frank died in 2009. He was a telecommunications engineer who died as a brain tumor.
And this is where her worldview gets interesting and, frankly, a bit tragic.
Yeah.
She believes, without proof, but with total conviction, that his tumor was caused by electromagnetic exposure from his job.
From the pylons and the signals.
She believes they killed him, but she never sued. She felt totally powerless against the big corporation.
She didn't have the money or the voice to fight them.
And that feeling of powerlessness is a recurring theme for her. His death was the inciting incident for her obsessive-compulsive disorder, her OCD.
At his funeral, she started tapping surfaces 3 times.
Tapping the coffin 3 times.
Wow.
Yes. It's a ritual. When the world spins out of control, when your husband dies, when you feel small and helpless, you tap 3 times.
It's a way to impose a tiny bit of order on the chaos.
Exactly. It says, I can control this. Even if I can't control the tumor, I can control the tapping.
So fast forward to 2020. She's a widow. She has this ritualistic behavior, and she is raising 3 kids on her own in Battersea. Let's talk about the kids.
Because they are the reason she feels she can't change her life. They are her anchors, but also her excuses.
The family dynamic is crucial here. First, you have Mark, age 21. He's delivering pizzas on a broken scooter, struggling to make ends meet.
But he has this huge ambition to be a London cabbie. He's studying the knowledge.
And for anyone listening who isn't in the UK, the knowledge isn't just a driving test.
Not at all.
It's widely considered the hardest taxi test in the world. You have to memorize 25,000 streets and thousands of landmarks within a 6-mile radius of Charing Cross.
It takes years of riding around on a moped with a clipboard. It is a grueling test of memory and dedication.
It actually changes the physical structure of your hippocampus. That's how intense it is.
It does. And for Mark, it's his ticket out of the gig economy. Then you have Sarah, who is 18.
She's a brilliant math student, totally indifferent to fashion. The sources actually mention she uses rubber bands dropped by the postman to tie her hair back.
Because she just can't be bothered to buy hair ties. She's practical.
But here's the soap opera twist. Sarah is secretly dating Rupert Brimble.
The son of Edith's wealthy employer.
The very same.
So you already have this Romeo and Juliet class tension brewing in the background. Sarah is smart enough to know that Rupert's family would likely disapprove.
And finally, there's the youngest Hermione, who is 12, and her situation is heartbreaking.
She was paralyzed from the waist down in a horse riding accident 2 years prior.
And ironically, she was on a horse owned by the employer's daughter.
Correct. Which adds another incredibly complex layer to Edith's employment. She is cleaning the house of the family whose horse paralyzed her daughter.
That is heavy. So Edith's life is very much defined by caregiving.
She cares for the kids, she cares for the memory of her husband, and professionally, she cares for the home of Sir Clive Brimble.
Financially, she's surviving on widow's benefits and her cleaning wages. She owns the house mortgage-free, thanks to Frank, but cash is tight.
It's that precarious stability that so many people live in. One broken boiler, one big bill, and the whole system collapses.
And that precarious reality sets the stage for the inciting incident. It starts with something incredibly mundane.
Workplace gossip.
It's amazing how small moments lead to huge changes. Mr. Bamford, the butler at the Eaton Square house, who is very traditional, very stiff, wins 500 pounds on the lottery.
And he is so pleased with himself, he's strutting around the kitchen boasting.
And seeing this trigger something in Edith, it's not jealousy exactly.
It's more of a nudge, a cosmic poke.
A why not me moment.
Precisely. She's at Tesco, later buying 4 liters of milk, just heavy domestic drudgery, and she gets a physical sensation.
Her fingers start to tingle.
We talk about gut feelings, but this is a somatic marker. Her body is telling her to do something.
And she trusts it. She buys a ticket for the Euromillions. Just one.
She doesn't even want to pay the 5 pence for a carry bag. She calls herself a silly cow for wasting £2.50.
She puts the ticket in her purse, buried next to her lipstick and keys, and forgets about it.
I love that she thinks £2.50 is a waste, given the return on investment she's about to get.
So let's go to the discovery. She's on the bus commuting home.
She is. She's in one of her creative trances, visualizing a scene for her novel when the bus hits a massive pothole.
It jolts her back to reality.
She looks up and sees a newspaper someone is holding. The headline is about a massive rollover jackpot.
And that night, she checks the numbers.
Yeah.
Now, this is where the reaction, or the lack thereof, is so interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if I won 137 million pounds, I think I'd be screaming. I'd be running laps around the garden. I'd be waking the neighbors.
Most people think they would, but the psychological reality of a shock that big is often freezing.
It's catatonia.
Edith checks the numbers. She realizes she has the single winning ticket, and she goes completely silent.
There is no champagne.
She enters a state of immediate secrecy. She hides the ticket back in her handbag. She doesn't tell the kids.
This is the first sign of that terror of change we mentioned in the intro. The sources say she describes feeling like a lead weight has been tied around her waist.
That's a very telling metaphor. It's not wings to fly, it's a weight. She instinctively understands that this money is a solvent.
A solvent. I like that.
It is going to dissolve the glue that holds her current identity together. If she tells the kids, Mark might stop studying for the knowledge.
Sarah might stop striving in math.
She's terrified that the money will rob them of their drive. She views the money not as a gift, but as a threat to their character.
So she enters the validation phase. She has to go claim it.
She invents a cover story about visiting a dying friend in Brighton. We'll come back to that lie later because it's important.
And she goes to meet the advisors from Camelot, the lottery operators, at the Waldorf Hilton.
This scene is fascinating for the psychology of numbers. She meets Judy and Adrian, the winner advisors.
And when they confirm the win, they don't just say the number out loud. Adrian writes it down on a slip of paper and slides it across the table.
Why is that? Is that just for dramatic effect?
No, it's actually a cognitive protocol used by lottery officials. Spoken numbers of that magnitude are abstract to the human brain.
We can't really process the difference between 1 million and 1 billion verbally.
Right. But seeing the digits, 137,965,321, it forces the brain to compute the scale.
It makes it concrete.
137,965,321 pounds.
It's unimaginable.
It is. And Edith's reaction is immediate rejection. They offer her financial advisors. They suggest private banking with Coos. They talk about press conferences.
And she shuts it all down. She insists on total anonymity. She says she wants no change.
She wants to freeze time. She wants the security of the money, but the reality of her old life.
Which is impossible. You cannot have that kind of wealth and live a minimum wage life. The cognitive dissonance is too high.
But she tries. She walks out of the Waldorf a multimillionaire and goes right back to Battersea.
And this brings us to the double life, which is where the class dynamics really start to grind against each other.
Let's paint the picture of her workplace. She works at Eaton Square for Sir Clive Primble.
Sir Clive is a caricature of the British upper class. He's a knighted marketing mogul. Arrogant, loud, obsessed with status.
His assets are estimated at around £17 million.
Which, let's be fair, is a lot of money. Most people would kill for $17 million.
It is a huge amount of money. But Edith is now worth 8 times that.
That is the key stat. She is scrubbing the floors of a man she could buy and sell 8 times over.
And the environment in that house is toxic. Sir Clive is having an affair with his secretary, Carol.
Lady Rosalie, his wife, is suspicious and deeply unhappy. She's obsessed with what she calls the cosmetic surgery of the house, constantly redecorating to fill a void.
And the staff, Edith, Mr. Bamford, the cook, Mrs. Dunbar, they see everything.
The staff are the invisible witnesses. There is this excruciating scene in the source material where Edith gets stuck in a wardrobe.
Oh, yes. This is the scene that really defines the paralysis of wealth.
Edith is cleaning a guest bedroom. She hears Sir Clive and Carol coming down the hall. She panics because she's not supposed to be there, and she hides in a large antique wardrobe.
It's almost a farce, like a bad sitcom.
It starts that way, but then it gets dark. She has to listen to them having sex, which she describes as repulsive.
But immediately after they start arguing about money, Carol is crying. She owes Sir Clive £22,000 because he paid for her mother's surgery.
So he's holding the debt over her.
He is using it as leverage. It's a power play. He's basically telling her she can't leave him or stop the affair because she owes him this money. It is abusive.
And Edith is in the wardrobe, cramped her leg, going numb, smelling the cedar and the mothballs, listening to this.
Yeah.
And she realizes something profound.
She realizes she could write a check for £22,000 and not even notice it was gone.
The interest on her capital earns that amount in a single day.
She has the power to liberate Carol instantly.
But she doesn't.
She can't. Not without revealing her secret. If she pays the debt anonymously, questions are asked. Who paid this? Why?
If she hands Carol cash, her cover is blown. This is the dilemma of altruism when combined with secrecy.
She realizes that having the power to fix problems is useless if you are terrified of exercising that power.
She is paralyzed. She has the means, but not the freedom.
That has to take a massive physical toll. You can't hold that kind of tension in your body without a release valve.
The body keeps the score. And for Edith, it manifests as severe atopic dermatitis, eczema.
She starts scratching herself raw. Her chest, her neck, it's angry, red, inflamed skin.
She tries over-the-counter creams, but nothing works.
Because it's not an allergy.
Yeah.
It's stress.
Exactly. It's cortisol. Her body is in a constant state of fight or flight because she is living a lie every hour of the day.
She finally breaks down and goes to see a private doctor, Dr. Mary Welberry. And she pays £300 in cash.
Which is a lot for a cleaner.
And the doctor notices that. She challenges Edith. Why are you paying cash? Why are you so stressed?
And Edith cracks. She confesses the win to the doctor. It's the first time she says it out loud to a human being who isn't a lottery official.
That must have been an incredible relief.
It was a release, but the doctor gives her a stern warning. She says this skin condition is your body rejecting the lie.
You have to resolve the conflict. Either give the money back or own it.
You cannot live in 2 realities at once.
She also sees a psychologist, Dr. Naylor, who was recommended by Camelot. And this is where we get into sudden wealth syndrome.
What is the psychologist's take on Edith's refusal to change?
Dr. Naylor identifies it as an illusion of control. Edith explicitly tells the therapist that she thinks the money will ruin her children.
She thinks if Mark knows he's rich, he'll never learn the knowledge. He'll become a layabout.
I think a lot of parents listening can relate to that fear, though. You want your kids to have grit. You want them to struggle a little bit so they build character.
If they have a £137 million safety net, do they ever get off the couch?
It's a totally valid fear, absolutely. But Dr. Naylor argues that by hiding it, Edith is actually showing a lack of trust in her children.
She's projecting her own fears onto them. She's denying them their agency.
Dr. Naylor uses this brilliant analogy. Edith is trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
You can do it for a while, but it takes constant, exhausting effort.
And eventually physics wins. The ball's going to burst to the surface.
Then the ball does start to slip. The kids aren't stupid. They live in the same house. They notice things.
Remember that cover story about the dying friend in Brighton?
The excuse she used to go to the lottery validation meeting.
Right. Well, Sarah, the math student who is very observant, catches her.
She checks the news and sees that there is a massive signal failure and a train crash on the Brighton line that day.
No trains were running to or from Brighton.
Busted.
Completely. Sarah confronts her.
Yeah.
You weren't in Brighton, Mom. Where were you?
Edith panics. She pivots. She admits to winning the lottery, but she lies about the amount. She says she won £1,000.
The limited hangout. It's a spy term. You admit to a small, verifiable truth to hide the massive, dangerous lie.
Exactly. She thinks this will satisfy them. Oh, Mom won a grand mal. That's nice.
But it actually creates more tension. Because Sarah is desperate. She wants to marry Rupert Bringle, but they are terrified. Sir Clive will disinherit Rupert if they marry young.
Sarah needs money to start a life. She suspects Edith might have won a bit more than £1,000.
He pushes. Mom, if you have a bit more, could you help us with a deposit on a flat?
And Edith, the woman who taps surfaces to stay calm, loses it.
She throws a magazine at her daughter.
It's a moment of violence that shocks them both. The stress is boiling over. Edith is normally repressed calm.
But the pressure of the lie is turning her volatile. She's becoming someone else despite her desperate attempt to stay the same.
There's also a really touching subplot involving Clary Sir Clive's daughter.
Yes. While Edith is fighting with her own daughter, the employer's daughter comes to visit Edith in Battersea.
Clary is gay. She's terrified of her father, Sir Clive, who is obsessed with lineage and proper marriages.
She comes to Edith for comfort.
It's a beautiful parallel. You have the rich daughter paralyzed by her father's social judgment, and the poor mother paralyzed by the fear of how wealth will change her family.
They're both trapped. They're both in wardrobes, metaphorically speaking.
It highlights that money doesn't solve the problem of identity or acceptance. Clary has money, but no freedom.
Edith has money, but no freedom.
It's a striking commentary on how little cash actually buys when the constraints are emotional.
So the domestic tension is simmering. But the world outside is hunting.
The press knows the winning ticket was sold in London. They know it's a woman. The tabloids are offering rewards.
And this is where the story turns into a tragedy of trust.
The betrayal doesn't come from a hacker or a stranger. It comes from inside the house. It comes from Lisa.
Lisa is Hermione's carer. She's the one who helps Edith's paralyzed daughter. She is supposed to be part of the inner circle.
Lisa is trusted. She's loved. The family considers her saintly. But Lisa has ears.
She overhears the arguments with Sarah. She pieces together the Brighton lie.
Maybe she sees the letter from Coutts Bank that Edith didn't hide well enough. She realizes the truth.
And she sells Edith out.
She goes to a tabloid newspaper. She reveals Edith's identity. And do you know how much she got for it?
It wasn't life-changing money, was it?
£3,000.
That is devastating.
It's tragic economics. Edith is sitting on $137 million. She could have given Lisa £1 million without blinking.
She could have changed Lisa's life forever.
But because of the secrecy, because she shut everyone out, Lisa betrayed her for a paltry £3,000 reward from the newspaper.
It really highlights the fragility of trust when money is involved. If Edith had brought her into the fold, she would have had an ally.
Instead, she created an enemy.
So the news breaks. Domestic cleaner wins Euromillions. The reporters swarm the house in Battersea. It's an absolute siege.
Edith has to run the gauntlet of flashbulbs just to get through her front door. The secret is out. The beach ball has burst out of the water.
She has to face her family.
Yeah.
Walk us through that confrontation. This is the moment of truth.
She sits Mark, Sarah, and Hermione down, and she tells them the real number, $137 million.
How do they react?
Mark is stunned into silence. He literally cannot compute it. But Sarah is a pragmatist.
She doesn't scream.
She immediately starts strategizing. She sees the reality of the situation. She realizes they can't stay in the house that night. She helps Edith draft a press statement.
And this statement, it's not what people expected. It's a manifesto of stubbornness.
It really is. Edith steps out onto her doorstep the next day wearing her serious gray dress. She faces the cameras.
She confirms the win, but then she lays down the law. She lists 3 conditions.
Number 1, she will not move house. Number 2, she will not buy a car she doesn't drive anyway. And number 3, the bombshell, she will continue working as a cleaner.
The world must have thought she was insane. Why? Why keep scrubbing toilets?
It's her anchor. We have to go back to Frank, her husband. That house in Battersea, that routine, that life. It's the life she built with him.
It feels like leaving him behind.
It's a psychological defense mechanism. She believes that if she changes nothing on the outside, she doesn't have to change on the inside.
She is clinging to the mop as if it's a life raft.
There's a scene right after the press conference that sums this up perfectly. The family is eating dinner.
Dote in the hole.
For our non-British listeners, explain that dish.
It's sausages baked in Yorkshire pudding batter. It is humble comfort food. It's very cheap.
So you have a family worth more than the GDP of a small island sitting in a small kitchen eating sausages.
And Sarah points out the absurdity. She asks, are you really going back to clean for Sir Clive?
And Edith says yes. And this brings us to the final and perhaps most interesting psychological dynamic, the class reversal.
What happens when she walks back into Eaton Square?
It disrupts the entire social hierarchy. The employee relationship is based on economic dependency. I pay you, therefore you do what I say.
If Edith has $137 million bed, she doesn't need the wage. So why is she cleaning the floor?
It changes the nature of the act.
Exactly. It's no longer service. Maybe it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Maybe it's charity.
Okay.
Or in Sir Clive's eyes, maybe it's a mockery.
That's a fascinating angle. Sir Clive is a man who prides himself on his status.
He's a knight. He's the big man. But now the woman dusting his library is 8 times richer than he is.
It diminishes him. It makes his power over her illusory. He can't fire her. She doesn't care. He can't impress her with his wealth. She can outspend him.
It neuters his authority entirely.
And for Lady Rosalie, the snob,
it destroys her worldview.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look down on someone who is technically part of the global financial elite, even if she is wearing a tabard?
It exposes the artifice of their superiority. By staying, Edith isn't just keeping her job, she's unknowingly dismantling their ego.
She is holding a mirror up to them that says, your status is just money, and now I have more of it.
So we're looking at the aftermath. Edith is determined to stay. Is this resilience, or is this a delusion?
That is the big question. Dr. Naylor called it the illusion of control. I think there's a profound delusion there.
Edith believes she can be the cleaner and the multimillionaire simultaneously without one contaminating the other.
But money is energy. It flows. It changes things. You can't put the genie back in the bottle.
And what about the kids? Mark the pizza guy, Sarah the math whiz.
Their lives are irrevocably changed. Mark struggled to learn. Knowledge was about survival. Now, if he does it, it's a choice.
That changes the nature of the ambition. Maybe it makes it purer, or maybe it kills the hunger.
And Sarah. She's now bringing the dowry of the century to her marriage with Rupert. Does that balance the power dynamic with the Brimbles?
Or does it make Rupert feel inadequate? The ripples are just endless.
It really forces us to ask what freedom actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Edith has financial freedom, ultimate financial freedom, but she seems mentally imprisoned by her old life.
True freedom might be walking away from the mop bucket. True freedom might be admitting that life is different and finding a new purpose.
But for Edith, different is terrifying. Same is safe, even if same means eczema and hiding in wardrobes.
It's a powerful story. It forces you to ask what you would really do. We all say we'd buy the yacht, quit the job, travel the world.
But would we? Or would we be terrified of losing who we are?
Identity is a heavy anchor. It takes a lot of force to pull it up. Edith's story suggests that sometimes the hardest thing to leave behind isn't poverty, it's the self, you know.
Before we wrap up, I want to go back to that moment in the wardrobe one last time. Edith, listening to the affair, knowing she could solve Carol's debt, but choosing silence.
It is the defining moment. It represents the moral cost of the secret. She had the capacity for extreme generosity, but the cost was exposure.
She chose her own safety, her anonymity, over alleviating someone else's suffering.
That guilt is what flared up her skin. It tells us that wealth isn't just numbers in a bank account, it's responsibility. And Edith wasn't ready for that responsibility yet.
And that 2020 premonition. She thought the year would be significant. She was right.
She was, but in the most unexpected way. She thought it might be death or something mystical. Instead, it was a test of character disguised as a jackpot.
The dancing numbers she saw as a child, maybe they weren't the year. Maybe they were the digits of the bank balance.
That gives me chills. So what does this all mean for you listening at home?
It means we should examine our own relationship with change. We crave it, we play the lottery hoping for it, but when it arrives, do we embrace it?
Or do we cling to the familiar, even if the familiar is a broken scooter or a bucket of dirty water?
Edith's story is a warning. If you don't manage the change will manage you.
And on that note, we're going to leave you with a thought. Edith hid her ticket in her handbag. She walked around with $137 million next to her lipstick and her keys.
If you won that money today, right now, what is the one thing in your life you would refuse to give up? What is the one thing you'd hide in your handbag to keep safe from the money?
For Edith, it was her mop. What is it for you?
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.